Hello, today we are going to speak about the new moon in Pisces happening the 28th of February 2025. During a new moon, there is a lack of access to our inner world. We do not feel the influence of our dreams and memories. Our internal world does not affect our rational world. We make clear and transparent decisions with our minds well focused on our ideas. Just remember that in astrology we do analogies, and being the moon, our memories, our inner world, our emotions, and being the sun, our rational mind, as we cannot see the moon in the sky, it means we, like symbolically, we don't have access to that part of ourselves. So it's a very good time to, as being the sun, the rational mind, we will have very sharp mind to make very clear decisions. That's why they say it is the time to start new cycles and projects to sow, because we have very sharp mind to decide whatever we want to do. The new moon happening at 9 degrees of Pisces. In here we can see the chart corresponding to that new moon. It's, as I just said, it's happening at 9 degrees. The highlights for this new moon, mainly the stellium happening in Pisces. We can see here the sun and the moon sitting in Pisces, which makes sense because it is a new moon. Then we have Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and of course the North Node. This new moon is in a square with Jupiter sitting in Gemini. It is also in a trine with Mars sitting in Cancer. Something very important we need to keep in mind is that whatever is initiated in this new moon will have its climax in the full moon happening the 28th of August 2026 in Pisces. This will also be a partial lunar eclipse. Just remember that anything you are going to start during this new moon, you have to wait at least 2 days, 2.5, maybe I would say 1 day and a half, 2 days, till the moon is separated at least 17 degrees from the sun. Okay, so now let's speak a little bit about the meanings of these aspects the moon are doing this new moon is doing. Okay, so the first thing, as I just mentioned, as we are having very sharp mind to make clear decisions, we'll have total clarity to initiate matters related to our spirituality, because Pisces is a sign mainly related to spirituality, connection with the collective, going beyond our limits for collective and work as a group. Then the first aspect, which is extremely important, this moon does, after separating from the sun, is the partile square with Jupiter. Okay? This is something beneficial because despite being a square and Jupiter being in detriment in Gemini, it is still the great benefic, Jupiter. In fact, Jupiter in Gemini is not such a bad position for Jupiter, since being in detriment puts a bit of a limit on the excesses that Jupiter brings by its own nature. Whatever it is started, it will be measured and will involve younger people and perhaps some kind of elementary learning. Just remember that Gemini is related to young people, okay? Also, elementary school, short courses, that type of thing. Then, the next aspect the moon does after the partile square with Jupiter in Gemini is the partile trine with Mars in Cancer. Sorry. Mars in Cancer is already direct. So we are gonna party because of this. I am so happy. Mars in Cancer is in its sign of fall. This is a very bad position for Mars. Being Mars, the initiating, the warrior, and being Cancer, which is and being in Cancer, sorry, which is of a very different nature than the essential nature of Mars, makes it difficult for him to properly express all his energy. However, this Mars in Cancer might be a warrior who defends his roots and his family at all cost. I want to do a little bit of a parenthesis in here because I want to tell you a story that called my attention. Um, Recently, there was a situation with a Venezuelan comedian who is very loved by the community. Um, I was surprised how all the Venezuelan community all over the world came into his defense. And then I remember it's interesting that this Mars in Cancer is just ended his retrogradation and station, and it's direct, and all the situation with this Venezuelan comedian happened, and all the community, Venezuelan community all over the world came into his defense. So this is a perfect example of what Mars in Cancer means. The next aspect the moon does after the partile trine with Mars in Cancer is the partile conjunction with Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is an excessively heavily energy for the moon. Saturn limits, restricts, blocks. The moon in Pisces is very intuitive, very connected with the collective, with the dream world, and Saturn constrains the moon. Being the moon so empathetic, this conjunction with Saturn might bring a drop in energy, maybe causing a lot of sadness. The next aspect the moon does after this partile conjunction with Saturn is the partile conjunction with Mercury, here also in Pisces. Sorry, is the sextile with Uranus. In here we see Uranus is sitting at 23 degrees. Okay, so it will do a sextile with Uranus. This might bring having to plan, organize, or make some move unexpectedly because that's what Uranus brings. Things happening just out of the blue without any warning. Okay. After this sextile with Uranus, then it will do the conjunction with Mercury sitting at 24 degrees. Although Mercury in Pisces is in fall and in detriment, according to traditional astrology, the conjunction with the moon might bring to us connection with the collective, channeling information from the collective unconscious through our words. Spiritual activities using our voice, such as singing yoga, will be at hand. Finally, before leaving Pisces, the moon will do a conjunction with Neptune and the North Node. Okay? This will enhance the connection with the collective, as I have been repeating, because it is Pisces, such a beautiful energy, intuition and empathy. All Pisces energy will be on us. Okay? So now let's speak a little bit about this new moon from a mundane point of view. In here, I have highlighted some of the situations that might be affecting us from the mundane astrology point of view. So we might be seeing measure powerful legislators not having too much room to act when it comes to foreign affairs or something related to an invasion. Armies, police, troublemakers defending their nationalism. Judges weak when applying laws. conservative right-wing politicians trying to blur established old structures, maybe related to taxes. Neoliberal and or capitalist politicians planning something high-tech or revolutionary. Judges or maybe old-fashioned people trying to be hard on merchants, journalists, young people. A lot of confusion in mass media. Scandals involving religions, left-wing politicians, journalists, maybe the prison system. We will also become aware of something as a collective. This is mainly related to the North Node being sitting in Pisces, okay? As you guys know, I always like to show the astrocartography in which we can see, I have just left the lines for the moon. As it is a new moon, wherever the line of the moon is, then we will also have the line of the sun. And in here it's interesting, we can see this ASC and this sign is Virgo. So through all this line, the new moon will be sitting in house 7, okay? Because the ascendant or the rising is sitting in Virgo, okay? So it's very, very interesting that we see this line passing by the United States also through Mexico. Keep an eye on this. Having the new moon sitting in the house 7, and in mundane astrology the house 7 is mainly related to agreements, alliances, trade agreements, disputes, and open hostilities. It means that there is there is any, like, nothing is hidden. All the hostilities that are happening openly, okay? Then we will have the midheaven, the moon, the new moon in the midheaven through this line, passing through New Zealand, which is interesting. And the new moon in the rising will be through this line, all this area here. So all the things I have explained about mundane astrology will have more strength to kind of develop in the areas where the new moon is sitting in a place of the chart like the midheaven, the rising, or the descendant, which is this case in which the rising is Virgo. Okay? And this line passing through all this area is it is sitting, the new moon is sitting in the cuspid of the house 4. In general, a moon in Pisces is connected to spirituality, intuition, mysticism, hospitality, a spirit of sacrifice and renunciation, escape from reality, great compassion, and empathy. And remember that in astrology, the signs are also related to parts of our body. So Pisces is related to glandular system and hormones, lymphatic system, lymph nodes, mucus, and the feet. Which cycles or projects we are initiating, it will depend on which sign and house of the native chart this new moon falls in, and specifically if it falls on an important spot of the chart, such as a planet or a house cuspid. So, in other words, what you have to do is go check your natal chart and then see if this where this 9 degrees of Pisces is falling in your natal chart. If you see it is close to the cuspid of a house, or if it is close to a planet or making an aspect with any planet in your chart, then it will affect you in one way or the other. It means you will be starting new cycles related to whichever planet it is connected to, in which house it is sitting. Also, that's extremely important because they remember that the houses are the scenarios in our lives where all this energy is going to perform or to express. That would be the best way of putting it into words. And also remember that in astrology, if we don't release the energy of the planets, then the body takes it, and that's when we get sick from the parts of the body related to whichever the new moon, the full moon, or any aspects, tense aspects are happening in the sky or in our natal chart. I hope you liked it. Please remember to check my Instagram. I did a very quick reel explaining how to get your natal chart from AstroSeek in case you don't know your natal chart. And just leave me any comments if you have any doubts, or let's see what happens. I love mundane astrology, and I think it's very, very interesting to kind of track whatever we have predicted or say, like, well, this might happen, and then see what finally happens. So remember to track everything, and whatever you are starting this new moon is gonna have its climax in the full moon happening, if I remember properly, August 2026. So that would be a very, very interesting thing to track. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. Just subscribe for more videos, and bye.